Hey everyone, you've got Arleos the Blacksmith here, and today we are talking about some PVE Raid or Mythic Plus readiness. So if you're ready to step up your game in Raid or Mythic Plus, and you're wondering what kind of enchants or what kind of consumables you're going to need for Raid, that's what we're going to cover. So if you find yourself getting kicked out of groups because maybe you're not ready, or even just in your own guild, there's a lot of things you can do to just make yourself ready for Raid, and so that people are less frustrated with you. So first thing, I'm hoping that everyone knows the basics of their class or spec rotation, and for that, I'm not going to cover how you do your rotations, but there's a lot of good resources on Icy Veins or Wowhead to look up your actual specs that you can use. But what we're going to look at are some consumables that you can buy, and that you really should be buying. So the amount that you're going to spend on your consumables, it's not overly high. There's a lot of things that last a long time, and there are some cheaper routes that you can go with. So the auction house is going to be your friend here. If you've got any friends who are alchemists, scribes, things like that, who can make the 3-star quality, then you can lean on them a little bit. But for the purpose of this guide, I'm going to be looking at the auction house. So first thing that we're going to look at are runes. So we've got two different options. We've got a Howling rune and we've got a Buzzing rune. So the Howling rune is going to give you plus haste, and the Buzzing rune is going to give you plus crit. So depending on if it's crit or haste that you want, this is going to last on your weapon for 2 hours. So you apply it, it lasts through death, and they are relatively inexpensive. So you'll see the 2-star are 2 gold. They're super, super cheap. But the 3-star, they give you 310 stat instead of 265, and they're only around 30 gold each. So 30 to 40 gold each for 2 hours. I would recommend going with the 3-star rune. The extra secondary stats are worth paying that 30 gold for. So you go do one quest and you've paid for your runes for the day. So make sure you pick yourself up either Howling runes or Buzzing runes, and you again want to start with the 3-star quality. It's worth it. Next one we've got our Phials. So a Phial is the replacement of the flask from previous expansions. And there are two main Phials that you're going to be looking at in Rain. We've got the Phial of Elemental Chaos, which is going to give you a boost to your secondary stats, 652 boost every 60 seconds. It rotates what stat you're getting the boost on. These ones are a little bit more expensive, so for the 3-star we're looking at about 300 gold each, which is the more costly flask or Phial that you're going to be looking at for Raid. Depending on your gear level and really what fight you're doing, the one that I recommend using is the Phial of Tepid Versatility. So this is going to give you a boost to your versatility stat. It's plus 745 for the 3-star. It's very affordable, 40 gold each, and they last for 30 minutes. And you can drink a few of them so that you don't have to remember to keep popping it every 30 minutes. So I normally keep an hour rolling on myself at a time, just so that I'm not forgetting or it doesn't fall off mid-fight. So if you're down to a few minutes, drink another one, and it'll add 30 minutes to your time that you have. So for the versatility, this is going to help you take less damage, and it's going to help you just do more damage. Or healing. So the reason that I like it, if you're a little bit under-geared, it helps you not die. That little bit of extra damage from the Elemental Chaos Flask, I don't necessarily think outweighs the benefits of that extra versatility that you're going to get stepping into a new raid. Next we have potions. So there are a few different potions that you're going to want to make sure you have. The first one that everyone should have are refreshing healing potions. So these are the 3-star healing potions that heal you for 128,000 health. Sure, you get the 1-star ones out of the dirt piles and just everywhere in the world, but 3-star, they're actually cheaper than 2-star right now. There's no reason you shouldn't be running around with a full stack of healing potions. This is going to save your life. You're going to use these a lot on Mythic Pluses, and you just want to get used to using them where you might be dying otherwise. So really big help. You're not doing any damage or healing when you're dead, and that health potion might be the difference. So make sure you're always carrying around a stack of health potions. Super important. Next one that we're looking at for casters and healers are going to be our mana type potions. So we've got the Frozen Focus and then the aerated mana potion. So Potion of Frozen Focus is going to give you back 48,000 mana, but you have to stay kind of immobilized for 10 seconds. So you're stuck there for 10 seconds. Depending on the fight, that's not always the best option. So we do have the aerated mana potion, which restores 27,000 mana. So depending on if you're a class where mana is an issue, I always keep some just in case I need them, although as a paladin I don't often run out of mana and I really don't use a lot of mana potions, but if you ever need them, it is good to have them there. So make sure you're picking up some mana potions as well. And then the next is the Elemental Potion of Power. So this is going to give you secondary stats. So you drink it, it increases your secondary stat for 30 seconds. And with most raid fights, you're getting 2 of these. So you normally use 1 at the beginning and then 1 after 5 minutes when your cooldown comes back up again. So I don't use a lot of these as a healer. But as a DPS, you're going to want to make sure that you keep your potions stocked up. If you're dropping cauldrons in your guild, or in the group that you're in, you can pick up the conjured item, which is what I've got on my bars right now. Fleeting Elemental Potion of Power. They're conjured items, which are essentially the same thing, but they disappear after you log out. So this is going to give you an extra little boost to your damage. It's really more for DPS. I don't see healers, or at least myself as a healer, I don't drink them very often. But if you can remember to drink them, it is a good little boost that you're going to get to your damage or healing. So next thing we're going to talk about is food buffs. So if you can afford it, I would 10 out of 10 recommend getting the alchemical flavor pocket to add to your gear. So right now they're fairly expensive, 70k. They were about 50k last week. The price of them has gone back up. So this is a chance drop that you can get from doing the feast event, the Kalawak feast event. And it's going to give you an embellishment on your gear that allows your well-fed bonus to increase by 100% time, and it persists through death. So now you're going to get a 2-hour time on your food when you eat it, instead of 1 hour, and if you die, your food buff stays there. So really, really handy, especially if you're in raid on a learning boss. You don't have to worry about eating after each wipe, or if you die in a Mythic Plus, you don't have to sit down and waste time getting a food buff again. It's going to stick with you. Now this does not count as one of your 2 embellishments, so this is going to be extra. So you don't have to worry about it taking up one of your 2 slots. You can have 2 embellishments, plus this food one does not count. So I would recommend, if you can afford it, to add the alchemical flavor pocket. Very handy to have in your gear. Alrighty, so next one for extra enhancements, we will start with talking about your neck. So any neck in Dragonflight can have up to 3 sockets. So most people are going to choose to use the Lariat right now. The Lariat is the neck of choice, which has a built-in embellishment in it. You don't get to choose the embellishment, it's the one that it comes with. And then you can add sockets to your neck. So if you're unaware of how to do this, you're going to need to get some tiered medallion settings. So I'd recommend getting 2 of the rank 2 ones and 1 of the rank 3 ones to get 3. So if you've got a neck with no sockets at all, that's how you do it. How the different rankings on these work: if you get a rank 1, then that will add a socket to your neck to a maximum of 1. A rank 2 will add a socket to your neck to a maximum of 2 sockets. And the tier 3 will add a socket to your neck to a maximum of 3 sockets. So if you've got a neck with no sockets and you use a rank 3 medallion, it will only add 1 socket to your neck. So what you want to do is buy 2 of these cheaper ones, and you add 2 sockets to your neck, then you buy the rank 3 to add your 3rd socket. So that's the most cost-effective way to add your 3 sockets, but this can be done to any neck. So make sure that you do have 3 sockets in your neck and that you're getting your gems added to them. For different enchants, so the enchant prices do vary a lot, especially from the rank 2 to rank 3. So a lot of rank 2 enchants are basically worthless, and then the rank 3s are where you pay a little bit more. But you'd be surprised, for most of your slots, you're only looking at paying a few hundred gold for an enchant, so they're really not that expensive. And if it's a piece especially that you won't be replacing for some time, I would recommend coming to raid and having all your gear enchanted. It's very likely that whoever's running your raid has an add-on that's going to show any gear that's not enchanted, or any pieces that are missing things like gems. So it's always good to, especially if you're coming into a raid not necessarily wanting to be carried, you want to make sure that you're doing all you can to make your character ready for the Mythic Plus or for the raid. Alright, now all the enchants that I'm going to suggest are going to give you your best chance for survival in a raid or Mythic Plus setting. They don't necessarily talk anything about the extra hearth, or the reduced hearth time, or any of the sort of flavor enchants that don't help you out in a Mythic Plus or in raid settings. So first thing we're going to look at is Cloak. So the go-to cloak enchant is Graceful Avoidance, which will help, it gives you avoidance and it helps reduce the amount of AoE damage that you take. Especially helpful in raid, it's just making sure anything that might tick you down just below your health, that extra avoidance is going to help you hopefully not die. So like with my avoidance, I'm taking almost 5% less damage from the area of effect attacks. Next one that we're looking at is Wrists. Again, the recommended wrist enchant is Avoidance. Again, reducing the amount of damage that you're taking in raid. Next one, we have the chest. So Waking Stats is the most popular choice. It's 150 to your main stat. And there are a few secondary options that you can get, which will have, like I'm, for example, using Reserve of Intellect, which gives me 111 main stat. So there's 40 less main stat, but it gives me plus 5% mana. So depending on if you're finding yourself running low on mana, there's a few things you can do to increase your mana pool. We also have Sustained Strength, which gives you plus 111 strength, but it also gives you 300 stamina. So for strength users, they get that extra strength plus the stam bonus, so a really nice one for tanks. And then for agi users, most of them are using the Waking Stats. There is an accelerated agility, which gives you 111 agility and also plus speed, which most agility users really don't need speed because they're already moving around quick enough. But most of those chest enchants, they're pretty interchangeable. The extra main stat is negligible. So Waking Stats is the cheapest one and normally the most widely accepted. But if you're looking for a little bit of an edge with what some of the other ones have to offer, then go ahead and grab those ones. The next one we're looking at is Leg. So it does show as an enchant, but these are actually leather patches or armor patches. So we've got one that's made from leatherworkers, and then we've got one that's made by tailors. So for the casters, we're looking at either the Frozen or the Temporal Spell Thread. So the Frozen Spell Thread gives you a little bit more health, and the Temporal gives you a little bit more mana. So I've got a Temporal Spell Thread on mine, which gives me plus 5% mana. And then maybe the more widely accepted one is going to be your Frozen Spell Thread, which gives you more hit points instead of the extra mana. So it really depends on if you want extra mana or a little bit more stamina. The next one that we're looking at for non-casters is called a Fierce Armor Kit, and that's going to give you plus main stat and plus stamina. So that's either strength or agility. Fierce Armor Kit. So again, the rank 3 is the one that you're going to want to go with. I know it's a little bit more expensive, but it is worth getting your stats, especially if they're pieces that aren't going to be quickly replaced. If you're coming in with your blues, then sure, your 2-star enchants are better than nothing. But if you've got your higher level gear, your Mythic Plus gear that you're upgrading, I would recommend splurging and getting the 3-star armor kits. So again, that's going to give you your plus stam and then plus agi or plus strength. Next one, we're moving on to the feat. So for feat, Watcher's Loam is, again, one of the more accepted ones. It's going to give you your plus hit points on this. So again, survivability is what we're looking at. I'm not even going to mention the other ones. There are things like speed, which can be handy for running around, but generally doesn't help you survive in a Raid or Mythic Plus setting. Next one, we're looking at rings. So for your rank 3 ring enchants, you're looking at plus 82 of whatever stat you're needing. So take a look at your stats, what stats you're looking to boost, whether it's your main stat or if it's high enough, then looking at boosting some of your other stats. But you're wanting to go with the rank 3 of the enchants, which is going to give you plus 82 of your secondary stat. So just check your stat priorities and put whatever you need. And the next one we're going to talk about is your weapon enchant. Now, the weapon enchants are the most expensive enchants. You're going to look for the devotion enchants. So there are a lot of different options, but generally if they end with devotion for weapons, those are the top end enchants that we can have. So Sophic Devotion is the most popular enchant. This is going to give you a big boost to your primary stat. And then we do have some people using the Frozen Devotion, which increases some AoE damage. So depending on your spec, things like tanks or some DPS for Mythic Plus groups, that's where we're looking at the Frozen Devotion. So take a look maybe for your most recommended enchant. A lot of the time it's going to be Sophic Devotion, but you will see that there is quite a disparity. The rank 2 Sophic Devotion is 1,000 gold, and the rank 3 is 7,000 gold right now. This is about average. Sometimes they go a little bit higher on Tuesdays. Depending on when you're getting your enchants, you can get some better deals if you wait later in the week. But as much as you can, I would recommend getting that 3-star. So the 3-star is giving us 932 main stat, whereas the 2-star is only giving us 857. So if you're going to put a good enchant on your weapon, especially if it's a crafted one, which you're going to recraft for upgrades, then I would recommend putting your 3-star enchants on. And then the last one I'm going to talk about are Vantus runes. So Vantus runes are optional. If you're not familiar with what it is, a Vantus rune is an item that's going to give you a bonus to your versatility. You can only use one each week. So when you pop a Vantus rune, it lasts for 7 days, and it only works for the boss that you use it on. So this is for a raid boss. Let's see, Vantus, and it is Vault. So Vault of the Incarnates, we're looking at for the rank 3 Vantus rune a 500 versatility, plus 500 versatility, 2 stars plus 450. So you get that extra 50. I myself use the 2 stars because I'm a little bit cheaper right now. Depending on how much learning you've put into this boss, it may be worth splurging for those extra, the 300 gold for the 50 versatility. But again, it only works for that one boss. So let's say you're working on the last boss in Vault. So you're working on Razageth. If you pop your rune on Razageth, it only works on Razageth. It doesn't help you on any other bosses. So it'll help you on Looking for Raid, Normal, and on Heroic and Mythic difficulties. Any different difficulty works as long as it's that same boss. But it does not give you a bonus anywhere else. So it's definitely recommended to use a Vantus rune on the learning content if you're in a guild or a group that's been stuck on the same boss and you just need that little extra push. That's what Vantus runes are for. Alright, well I hope you guys found this helpful. So you may have a better idea of how to get yourself ready for raid. Hopefully you're enchanting your gear, bringing your consumables, and it's definitely going to give your raid leaders a little bit more confidence in you and make everybody happy. Alright, if you found this helpful, feel free to like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Take care.